What's up, you guys? My name is Aubrey and this is my channel, and today I want to talk about the gig economy. But more specifically, I want to talk about some of the gigs and side hustle revenue streams that I think are worth pursuing in 2021. So I'm going to be breaking down what these side gigs and side hustles are. I'm going to be breaking down who I think would be best suited and best fit for these side hustles, and I'm going to be talking about why I think these are so good, especially going into this new year. So let's get started. Now, before we begin and we dig into the very first side hustle I want to talk about, I would like to thank the sponsor of this video, Cover. Now, Cover is a financial safety net for gig workers, and they've been now a pretty long time supporter of this channel. One of the big downsides of entering the gig economy and leaving the structure of your 9-to-5 is the fact that you lose a lot of the financial benefits and a lot of the safety net features that you get with the traditional 9-to-5. Things like access to some form of healthcare, things like paid time off, sick leave, and so much more. With Cover, they can help fill in the gaps of where you may need help now that you're a full-time gig worker. You can have access to paid time off, sick leave, cash advances, as well as access to medical telehealth professionals 24/7, bookkeeping services, and even a legal team in the case that your gig working account gets wrongfully terminated. Cover is kind of like your personal HR department. And if you're somebody who's going into the gig economy full-time, it's important to know that somebody has your back, because once you're in the gig economy, you're kind of on your own. So if you guys are interested in checking out Cover, I have a link down in my description below. I also have a link in the comment section as well. And if you click on that link and you sign up for Cover, you can give it a try for 1 month completely free with no obligations, no long-term commitments, and no contracts whatsoever. Thank you, Cover, for sponsoring this video. Over the last few weeks, we have gained a ton of subscribers. Over the last 28 days, according to my Google Analytics, we've gained over 11,000 subscribers, which is absolutely huge. So for those of you who may not know me from anything other than stimulus content, let me give you a brief introduction. So my name is Aubrey, this is my channel, and other than stimulus content, I also make a lot of videos talking about side gigs, the gig economy, and side hustles. Basically, what I cover is how you can implement multiple different revenue streams in your life in addition to, or even in replace of, your traditional 9-to-5. So revenue, making money, and income streams is a huge focus on this channel, of course, in addition to stimulus content. So with that, let's jump into the very first side gig that I think will be a really great opportunity in 2021. And we kind of saw this play out at the end of 2020, and that is RV and camper rentals through peer-to-peer camper sharing websites like RV Share and Outdoorsy. Now, whenever it comes to sharing an RV and the peer-to-peer marketplace, I actually don't have experience with this, but I will be in a few months. In fact, my fiance and I are building out a camper van. If you guys are interested in checking that series out, I will leave a link down in the description below. But we are currently building out a camper van for the purpose of renting it out on platforms like Outdoorsy and like RV Share so that we can make money off of it and turn it into an income stream. Now, this is something that has really gained a ton of popularity in the last 6 to 8 months. With COVID-19 and with people not able to travel by air, they opted to travel by car. And oftentimes people do not want to drive their day-to-day car on a road trip, and instead they would rather opt to renting some sort of RV. And because of that, platforms like RV Share, platforms like Outdoorsy have really truly exploded. Now, basically how this process works is very similar to Turo or GetAround or even Airbnb. Somebody owns a RV, a camper van, some sort of like camping off-roading vehicle. They then rent that out to people through these peer-to-peer sharing websites, and then the person who rents the vehicle gets to enjoy your RV or your camper van, and then you in exchange get income from that. Now, the thing about RV sharing that I think needs to be noted is that it is sometimes a bit tricky because you want to make sure that you have something that's nice enough to where people will want to rent it. People want to pay you to rent it, and thus you can make money. But you don't want to rent something that's too nice and that leaves you with a lot of financial exposure in the case that the RV's in an accident. In fact, I'm part of an RV sharing Facebook group, and I remember a few months back, I saw somebody who rented out a $100,000 RV. It was like a Mercedes brand. It was like the creme de la creme of RV. It was huge. And it was in an accident on its second or third trip, and the person lost a ton of money. So there is a lot of potential exposure here if you're somebody who was to buy a top-tier RV, a top-tier camper van, rent it out, and then have that get in an accident, and you're kind of out of luck. You would, of course, be covered under insurance, but you'd probably still lose a lot of money. From a handful handful of different people I spoke to about their experience with RV Share and Outdoorsy. Pop-up tents is a really lucrative way to get involved in this space with a fairly low investment. You can buy pop-up tents for, $2,500 to $5,500 depending on how nice. And I personally know of somebody who has a number of these and does extremely well on the platform. Another option is like smaller teardrop trailers, ones that have like a pop-up tent on top. These are again ones that are significantly more affordable, under $5,000 sometimes, and you could rent that out and people could purchase it from you, rent it from you. You can make money off of that. And a third option that I think is a really lucrative way to get involved in this space is a camper van conversion. And that's what I'm doing, and that's what I plan to do on Outdoorsy going forward. Now, ultimately, why I really like this side hustle is a few different reasons. Number one is that I think the effects of COVID-19 will stick around for quite a while. In fact, I was just talking to my sister about this the other day, that even once masks are no longer mandated, she is probably still going to opt to wear one in public. And I think that that is a sentiment that a lot of people share. I think that there's a lot of people out there that are hesitant to go into highly crowded places because of the scare of the virus. And because of that, I think that there's a lot of people that will opt out of traveling by air for a very long time. And because of this, I think that there's a lot of people that will opt to do RVing instead. Additionally, I think that the last year has really opened people's minds to some alternative ways of living their life. People who may have never thought before to rent an RV may have done so over the summer and absolutely loved it. And now that's their preferred method of travel. So it really exposed people and kind of forced people to try these alternate types of travel, alternate types of vacations, and RV sharing and camper van sharing and pop-up tent sharing, that is certainly falls in that category. And lastly, I think that this side hustle specifically is a really great way to turn your passion into an income stream. And that's exactly what I'm doing with my camper van. The fact is, HP and I got this camper van because we wanted one. And it was like, well, how can we justify this purchase? How can we turn this into a legitimate income stream? And that's where the idea of renting it on a peer-to-peer sharing website, documenting this on the YouTube channel, that's how it came to be, was, okay, we can enjoy this product and we can make money from it at the same time. But I had been wanting one for years. I had gone to national parks and seen them. We had gone on mountain bike trips. We've gone to triathlons and Ironman races, and we had always seen them and we always wanted one, but we could not justify the purchase unless it was going to make us some money in the process, which is exactly what we ultimately ended up doing and why we ended up going in this direction. So I think that almost more so than any other side hustle out there, doing some sort of RV share, doing some sort of camper van sharing, I think it's a really great way to combine a passion with a potential income stream. And because of that, I think that this is one of the best side hustles to pursue in 2021. Now, the next side gig that I think is a great one going into 2021 is peer-to-peer car sharing. Now, this is on a very similar note as what we just discussed with peer-to-peer RV sharing. And it's the exact same thought process. You own a vehicle, you rent it out to your peers, and then you make money from that. Now, sitting right now in 2021, there are a number of different services out there that offer peer-to-peer car sharing. We have Turo, which is the platform I work with. We have Avail, we have GetAround, and I'm sure there'll be others that pop up in the future. And in a similar thought process as with RV Share and Outdoorsy, Turo skyrocketed this year. They saw their first profitable quarter ever. They're planning on going public this year, and that is in big part because of the fact that people have been forced to change the way they travel, and Turo has helped them accommodate to this. Now, in my opinion, I think that there is not a side hustle out there that is better than Turo if you can do it correctly. Turo has a lot of downside, but if you know your operations, if you know how to run the business, then it has a ton of upside. Now, admittedly, Turo isn't as good as it once was. They've changed their platform quite a bit over the last few years, and the income potential has drastically decreased because of that. But I think that with those changes, which in some ways were very negative, I think the big positive is the fact that the longevity of Turo has drastically increased. I mean, this time last year, I was saying that I didn't know if Turo was going to make it through 2020, and now they're talking about going public. So that big change is a huge change that is ultimately really good for Turo hosts. I mean, even though my monthly income from Turo has decreased with all of these changes, knowing that the platform isn't going to shut down tomorrow is definitely the peace of mind that I needed in order to expand with the platform and expand my fleet. And so because of that, I do think that car sharing is a really great income stream. Whether you go with Turo, whether you go with GetAround, whether you go with the new one, Avail, that I just recently did a video on, I think that the platform is kind of irrelevant. You need to choose which platform works best for you. But ultimately, I think that car sharing is one of the best side gigs out there where you could ultimately replace your full-time income with a fraction of a full-time hourly requirement. Now, again, remember, I never recommend quitting your job to pursue Turo, and the same would go for RV Share as well. I don't recommend it replacing your full-time job, but it accompanies your full-time income, and it can be an alternative income stream almost better than any other income stream out there, in my opinion, at least when it comes to the ROI, the time commitment, and the income potential. So because of that, I think that this is an excellent side gig to pursue in 2021. And remember, if you guys are interested in learning about peer-to-peer car sharing and how I've been able to turn this into a semi-passive business and income stream, I do have a course that is being released on February 1st. You can currently order it for 50% off for the entire month of January. So if you want to check that out, I will leave a link down in the description below, as well as in the pinned comment section as well. The next side gig that I want to talk about is delivery services, things like Postmates, Uber Eats, DoorDash, Instacart, and so much more. Now, the reason why I like this side gig is a few different reasons. Now, the downside is doing delivery services like any of these apps, it certainly is not a passive side hustle. It's not like Turo where you can just buy the vehicles, maintain the vehicles, and then just kind of let the platform handle it from there. It's definitely a form of active income. And so because of this, you're definitely trading your time for money, which is something that I oftentimes don't advocate for. But I also think that for the most part, we all have a lot of free time. And if you're somebody that gets bored easily, doing these delivery service apps is a great way to fill your time and make money at the same time. Now, the fact is, with COVID-19, people have gotten really used to having their groceries, having their food, having their items delivered to them rather than having to go out and get it themselves. And I think that this behavior is going to be very difficult for a lot of people to revert back to. People have grown used to this. They've enjoyed having their items delivered to them. And I think that there are a lot of people out there that will never go back to picking up their items themselves. And so because of this, apps like Uber Eats, DoorDash, Grubhub, Instacart, Postmates, and so much more, they're not going anywhere. Now, additionally, another reason why I like delivery service apps is because there are a ton to choose from. One of the things I don't like about peer-to-peer car sharing, for example, is the fact that you only have 3 platforms to choose from. And these 3 platforms are drastically different. So if, for example, I find myself not enjoying being with Turo, I don't really have a whole lot of options out there to go to if I want to exit the Turo platform. Whereas on the flip side, with delivery service apps, there are a ton of options to choose from. You can try Postmates, and if you don't like Postmates, you could try Grubhub. If you didn't like Grubhub, you could try Instacart. There are so many different options out there where diversifying is not an issue. Making sure that you have a number of accounts set up in the case that you get banned from one is not an issue, and you have a variety of different accounts that you can leverage to make extra money. And so I think that this aspect of delivery services, the fact that you have so many different options to choose from, is a huge plus. Ultimately, though, like the other side gigs that I've talked about, I don't think that delivery service apps is like a end-all be-all way to make money. I definitely don't think it's something that you should do long-term, but I do think that it's a great means to an end. And if you're somebody who's wanting extra money to invest, or if you're somebody who's wanting to save money to buy a house or to buy your first investment property, I think doing delivery service apps is a great way to go about making that extra money. I think that this is an excellent app that you can pursue, and you can do so by choosing a plethora of different delivery service apps out there. Ultimately, I think that side gigs and gig work is one of the best ways to make extra money out there. It's an excellent way to make passive income. It's a great way to make extra income, and it's a great way to allow for yourself to either save and invest more money at the end of each month. Now, depending on your experience, your background, and what you have a desire in doing a business in will heavily dictate which type of side gig you participate in. But in the gig economy, there is basically something for everyone, and you just need to find something that works for you, works for your schedule, and works with your lifestyle. But like always, you guys, I would love to hear your thoughts. If you guys have any questions, if you have any comments, if you have anything to add, make sure to leave a comment down below. And while you guys are at it, make sure to hit the like button, hit that subscribe button, and hit that notification bell. And I'll see you guys in the next video.